Welcome to the Retire on Purpose podcast. My name is Andrew Pallas. I'm a certified financial planner here at Minnick McGregor Wealth Management. Today we're joined by my co-host,
Corey Laird, also
Corey
CFP
Laird.
as well here at the office.
Right.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the tax law changes in the most recently signed OBBB tax
Yes.
cut bill that was passed in Congress and signed by President Trump, I believe, a week ago.
July 4th, yeah.
Yeah, July 4th. Yeah. We're not going to be talking all about it. That would be way too long of a podcast, but
Okay.
we're talking about one specific feature of that. Specifically, that has a lot to do with some of the confusion of these taxes on Social Security and the standard deduction changes in that bill.
Okay. So is my Social Security tax-free?
No.
Well, I don't get Social Security, so it doesn't matter.
So some
okay.
slight confusion there. Social Security is still taxable. Really, the name of the game there is that it's a little too complicated to change how taxes on Social Security are determined. Certainly in Congress's department, it would be too complicated and too cumbersome to change those rules. So instead, what they seem to have done is they added an additional standard deduction for seniors, that is those who are 65 and age 65 and older.
Right.
Yeah. The amount that they added was $6,000 per person.
Okay.
There are some rules there to get that deduction.
Yeah.
But that is them basically allowing some of the taxes on all income, not just Social Security, to be deducted instead of just changing the tax rules in the Social Security.
So in a way, it's lowering my overall tax bill.
Yes.
But not giving me a free or a tax-free Social Security benefit.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, there's the reason why it is important to differentiate the two is because this standard deduction is for those 65 and older, and you can take Social Security as early as 62.
Correct.
So if you took your Social Security at 62 thinking it was all tax-free, that's not true. Social Security would be taxable, and because you're not 65, you wouldn't get this extra deduction that was included in the OBBB bill.
Yeah. So looking back at 2024, let's just talk about what the rule was before, right? So you had your standard deduction. If you're over 65, you got an additional, what was it then? It's 1,600 now.
Yeah, so a standard deduction is effectively, you can think of it as how much of your income is not taxable.
Okay.
On the federal side. We're talking federal deductions, federal taxable income here to the United States for those international watchers who are watching.
I would love that.
Yeah. So the standard deduction before, so 2024, the standard deduction was per person $15,000.
Okay.
If you were over 65, you got an additional $1,600. So for the purpose of this podcast, since we're talking about the changes for those over 65, the standard deduction was $16,600. Those two numbers combined.
And that was just for a single filer, not a married filer.
Yeah,
It would
so-
be double with the married filer.
Exactly, $33,200. Yeah.
Okay. So that was, again, if you itemize, you did not get that deduction, correct?
Yeah, so as the rules goes on your taxes, you either take the standard deduction or you itemize your deductions if you have enough healthcare expenses, if you have enough mortgage interest, if you pay enough state and local taxes,
Gifts to
give enough
charity.
charity. If all those itemized deductions add up to more than $33,200, then you itemize your deductions. If not, then you take the standard deduction of $33,200, again,
Okay.
over 65.
So we got the baseline for what 2024 was.
Yeah.
So with these new benefits going forward in 2025, let's talk a little bit about that then. So
Okay, so some of the new changes, they did increase the standard deduction for everyone, $750 extra standard deduction per person. So if you're married, that's an extra $1,500.
Right.
But this podcast would be more talking about the extra $6,000 per person over 65.
Right.
So if you're both over 65, you're married and you're both over 65, that would be up to $12,000 additional.
Okay.
But that means that if you add all those changes there, you effectively, if you're over 65 and married, you went from $33,200 deduction to $46,700 deduction.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big increase.
Big increase. Yeah. So that's about $13,500 increase in how much of your income is not taxable.
So before, again, 2024, I would have to take the standard deduction to get that extra $1,600. With this new deduction, if I'm over 65, am I not allowed to itemize and still get that additional standard deduction?
Very good question. It's a very leading question too.
Yeah,
So so the extra $6,000 per person if you're over 65 is a senior adjusted to your income
yes.
For seniors, so 65 and older. And whether you itemize it or not, so the rule says you get that extra $6,000 deduction.
Okay.
Yes, whether you itemize or not.
So again, if you look at someone who maybe they're 65, maybe they're still working,
Mhm.
right? Maybe they pay a lot into state and local taxes. They have some mortgage, good amount of mortgage interest.
Yeah.
They give to charity. This could be a quite sizable deduction that they could have for 2025.
And if you're hearing Drew say, he said nothing about Social Security. So that's very important that it's age-based. So even if you're not taking Social Security, that's where the confusion lies. It has nothing to do with Social Security. If you're over 65, you're still getting this deduction, except there is a income.
That's the caveat.
There's a caveat.
There's always a catch.
Yeah. So if you make more than $150,000 as a joint, there's starting to be a phase out of that $6,000.
I think we don't know yet how they're calculating it. I think we're assuming it's based on your adjusted gross income.
Yeah, we don't know how they're going to calculate that. So there's a couple ways to assign what your income is, whether it's your gross income before deductions, or maybe it's your AGI, or maybe it's your modified adjusted gross income, or maybe it's your taxable income. We don't know quite yet what that is. So
TBD on that.
Yeah, because this particular rule is supposed to kick in 2025. The hope is that those types of particulars will be coming out before we do our taxes next year.
Okay. So putting our CFP financial planner hat on, what are some good tips to do for 2025 with this new?
How about I go over one and you go over another?
Sure.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So what I would say is, and some of the things that I've been talking with you clients out, literally, it's been only a week here since this thing's come out.
Right.
But I have been telling clients that it's probably a good idea to use this $12,000 deduction to maybe change your withholdings.
Okay.
Because if the deduction is there for 2025, you would reason that it's going to allow you to save money on taxes. Why not just put those tax savings in your pocket now by changing your withholdings to increase your take-home pay?
It's a very good point.
Yeah. Taxes are taxes. You owe $1,000 in taxes, whether you pay it through the year or you pay it all in April. Taxes are taxes. So you would most likely get that money when you did your taxes next year. But again, why not just have the money in your pocket now?
Yeah. Yeah,
So I think,
why wait?
Yeah, updating withholdings, sitting down with someone who knows the tax laws, your accountant, for example, would be a good way to say, does it make sense to adjust your withholdings?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
What do you think?
My tax planning tip would be maybe bring some future income forward in the form of potentially Roth conversions, right? Because eventually you will have that time in place where you will hit 73 or 75 and you'll have a required minimum distribution.
Yeah, well said.
And that will be, included on your ordinary income for that year. So potentially this year, because, looking at the new rules, there is a sunset period of 2028, whether that occurs or doesn't occur, kind of TBD on that. But
Let's explain a little bit more of that. What do you mean by the sunset?
So 2028, these new additional $12,000 deduction for seniors is going to go away potentially in 2028. So while we have them and we know what they are, it's good to utilize them, again, bringing some of that income forward in the form of Roth conversions, maybe IRA distributions, net unrealized appreciation, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
But these are some of the things that we're talking with a lot of our clients about to take advantage of what we know right here and right now. So
a better way to say it, or another way to say it, excuse me, is that your taxes are artificially lower for the next 3-4 years, and maybe thereafter, after 2028, maybe they won't be anymore.
Yeah, and maybe it's a combination of changing withholdings, maybe it's not. But again, you want to do the analysis to determine which would be a better fit for you based on your current situation. So
yeah, well said. Yeah. All right, get us out.
All right, so that kind of wraps things up for us today. Be on the lookout for our upcoming podcast. If you feel that this was useful, informational, please like, subscribe, share. Looking forward to the next one.
Thanks, guys.
All right.